Well, we are here on Long Island in New York for Bellator 208, but no doubt about it, the mixed martial arts world's still buzzing after last Saturday night's UFC 229 card in Las Vegas. A man who had a front row seat to all of it, head coach over at SBG Ireland, head coach for one Conor McGregor, the great John Kavanagh joining us right now. John, I appreciate you doing this. It has been quite the week for you, I'd imagine, not only because of what happened in Las Vegas, but you had to come over here to the East Coast. You had two fighters fighting last night. How would you describe this week, transitioning from the madness in Vegas to then having, two fighters and having to prepare them for this fight?
Bizarrely getting familiar with being the center of a hoopla. But no, look, on Tuesday I left Vegas and then I was with Pascu and Sinead, and then that was my world. I sort of kind of put that aside. I stopped looking into it. I spoke about it with Joe on Monday morning, and I kind of gave my thoughts on it. My thoughts haven't really changed since then. I kind of hoped that would be sort of it, and then we could, put a full stop after it, move on. And Tuesday I come over to Bellator. We had two good fights last night, and now I'm here tonight for one reason only, to see the last Emperor Fedor, favorite fighter forever. So that's why I stayed on for an extra day.
I'd imagine you're not surprised that this is still the #1 topic in the sport, that people are still debating, talking, that it keeps evolving,
of course,
right?
Of course.
It's not going to go away.
Not anytime soon, I imagine.
Have you had a chance to rewatch the whole fight?
No, I haven't actually. I tried to find it online, but no, I haven't watched the fight back yet.
Based on what you saw cage side, how would you assess Conor's performance? Because I think one of the big questions was, how would he fight after the 23-month layoff in MMA, of course?
Right.
What did you make of his performance?
Like I said, I did go through this with Joe, but if I could go back, I think maybe the mentality going in was a little bit too defensive. Conor's a very offensive fighter, and when his time to land was there, and we did have opportunities, it wasn't there the way it was again in the Eddie fight, for example. The Eddie fight was off a big training camp for Diaz, which was off Diaz 2, which was off a big training camp for Diaz 1. So had a lot of cage time. This one, like you said, was almost 2 years out. I said that I didn't think ring rust would play a part, but I have to be honest, when I look at it now, when I replay it in my head, I do feel that played a little bit part. They didn't quite get his shots off the way he normally would. I thought defensively, I did quite well, defending a lot of takedowns, especially in round 3. Kahbib is amazing. He's an amazingly effective MMA fighter. His style is suffocating. It's relentless, and he does it better than anybody else.
Is he better than you thought going in?
No. I knew he was going to be an incredible challenge. I've watched him for a long time. That wasn't surprising how good he was. I just thought, like I said, in round 3, which we won, the shots that Conor were landing didn't quite have the sting that he normally would. He wasn't quite able to do things how he normally would. So yeah, if we could turn back time, I probably would have liked to spend more time on offense and capitalizing on those scenarios when they did present themselves, which they did.
Does Conor agree with your assessment? And in particular, maybe the cage rust, if you will, coming into play. Does he feel the same way?
This will probably surprise you, but I've actually not spoken to Conor since the fight.
Really?
Yeah.
You have not had a conversation?
No.
Face-to-face or even via the phone?
We had a couple of texts back and forth, but so after the fight, he went home.
Yeah.
And I went home as well, and then it was just like we're in separate houses. So
yeah.
I was there with Artem, Peter, and Orla, and we just kind of stayed up Saturday night just chatting. And we had a few texts back and forth with Conor, just saying, oh, could have done this, could have done that. Then on Sunday, I ended up going out for a little bit with Dylan and a couple of guys in Paradigm. I didn't see him there. He didn't go out. Actually, I tell a lie. I bumped into him on Sunday night at about 1 a.m. He was just sitting with his family, and I was leaving through a hotel, and we got to an area of the hotel, and a lot of security start pushing me away. So you can't walk through here. You can't walk through here. And then I spotted Conor. And I went, is that Conor McGregor? And the security were like, yeah, you can't go over there. And Conor looks over and he goes, that's what I thought. So I went in and we just didn't really talk about the fight. Just how are you? And
Sure.
he was sitting with his mother and say hello to his mom and his dad. And I said, okay, I'll see you soon. And then I left, and then I didn't see him on Monday, and then I left Tuesday, and I haven't spoken to him since. So
Is that typical?
Not not hugely unusual.
Okay.
It's kind of funny the way things are so intense in the lead up,
Sure.
and then suddenly on Sunday it's all kind of everybody's sort of like, what do we do now? And people start drifting away, So the coach start going home, the sparring partners start going home. So not massively unusual. I like to just leave the fighter alone, let them decompress. He's right away on a pretty intense whistle stop tour of distributors for his whiskey. He's doing some crazy amount of travel and in boardrooms. I don't know if you saw the fight.
Yes.
I had to laugh at the picture of him in a suit in a boardroom. It just kind of made me giggle. But yeah, he's killing that. He's visiting all these places. I know he's in LA at the moment. They're traveling to Denver. He's only in Denver for a few hours. Then he's in Texas, and he's all over the place. So he's kind of doing that side of things. I suppose in a week or two we'll sit down properly and see what went right, what went wrong, and what's his next move.
You just touched on that. Was there any concern in the camp that there was too much going on outside of fighting? He's launching the whiskey brand.
That's always a concern.
Yeah.
But that's what's made him who he is. He is able to juggle things like that. It's just been part of his journey the whole way through that we're always vying for his attention between his other interests. But he is very focused. And actually, I listened to Chael speaking there the other day, and he was saying like training is realistically between 2 to 4 hours of your day. If you have a good work ethic, if you have an active mind, there is no real reason why you shouldn't be able to do other stuff on top of that. And that's how we did it. We worked around that. So that's not a reason. That's not an excuse. We got our training in, and then he was doing his other bits as well, which is just part of who he is at this stage.
Can you give us your POV of what happened afterwards? So it seems like Kahbib wins, he submits Conor, and now he is directing his attention towards your corner, throws his mouthpiece in the direction of the corner, and then all we see from, we were pretty high up, him jump over, and then the whole brawl ensues. You were right there, and I do believe you were mic'd up as well, so perhaps one of these days the audio will emerge.
Yeah, they normally release the audio. You're probably not going to hear anything much then.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll give you my experience of it. So when he got the tap, he kind of ran over towards us. I guess he was looking at Dylan. He wasn't looking at me, but I just kind of gave a round of applause, like
Right.
Congratulations to me. That's the contest is over. And then I didn't see, but I didn't hear anything. I certainly didn't hear Dylan say anything. I did see afterwards that Dylan was doing this. Why would you want to do that?
Right.
But and then suddenly Habib sprints at us and jumps over the cage, and then thankfully cleared my head. And then him and Dylan had a bit of a tussle, and then it was just all madness. And I'm not too sure what's going on, but it seemed like security had it under control. And the last thing I want to do is get involved in it. It's only making it worse. Let it calm down. At that stage, nothing really bad had happened, in my opinion. And the security had the guys separated, so it was kind of over as far as I was concerned. I looked back in the cage and I seen Conor getting hit, and security didn't seem to be quite on top of that. So I sprinted in and I sort of pulled people apart, separated them, and then it was pretty much over. That's kind of as much as I saw.
Did you get punched at all?
I got one, but nothing. I've been hit a lot harder, so nothing too bad.
Do you hold any animosity towards Kahbib and/or his team for that scene?
Absolutely none towards Habib. It really wasn't that big a deal. He jumped over. I don't think he even actually hit Dylan. It really wasn't that big a deal. When Conor won in Boston, he jumped over and he had a bit of a go at Aldo. It's really not that big a deal to me, that kind of thing. I do hold ill will towards the guy that punched Conor in the back of the head. I thought that was a really cheap move, a dangerous move as well. I don't know whether that guy is trained or what his background is, but to make a closed fist with no glove on and hit somebody as hard as you can in the back of the head is disgraceful. As far as I'm concerned, it was whatever. You can say whatever you want about the build-up. I kind of leave those conversations for the fans. But then the fight happened honorably. at a certain weight class. Both guys did very well financially. I thought the crowd enjoyed it. My guy lost, their guy won. That's sport to me. At the end, we shake hands and we move on. Even with Habib jumping over, it's still not that big a deal to me. But the guy punching him in the back of the head, that really bothered me. I can't even imagine the other way around. Like someone from my team punching Aldo in the back of the head. After Conor beats him, it'd be. No, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pissed off about that.
Would it be fair to say that you don't want to see anything happen to Khabib, not even a suspension, a fine?
Absolutely no.
Same
Absolutely.
with Conor, I would imagine.
Absolutely not. I don't think. Okay, look. I have two hats on. I'm also heavily involved in the amateur side of mixed martial arts. Now, I do think they should be kept very separate. I think professional MMA is a mixture of sport and entertainment, and that's just how it is. Amateur MMA is just martial arts, and it's a lot different. It's a much different feel if you go to an amateur MMA event, especially the way IMAF do it, the World Federation, and it's in the afternoons, and it's a sober atmosphere. It's just it's two worlds, but I understand they're also connected, and I certainly don't condone whether it's Conor, if he's jumping on top of a cage, or whether it's Habib. I don't condone that. Do I want to see Habib with a long suspension and the money that he earned very hard taken away from? Absolutely not. So there has to be something, but I would hate to see him. I'd hate to see him out of competition for a long time. So yeah.
As you mentioned, you were right next to Dylan. He's been accused of saying something. You didn't hear anything.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Even absolutely not. I did not hear anything. However, how loud would he have to be screaming if that was what triggered Habib? But I haven't heard Habib say that. So has Habib said that he heard something?
Not from.
No, I haven't heard anything either. So I don't know. I think that started with one of those junk clickbait websites or whatever they're called, just to get something going. But I mean, there's mics everywhere, there's fans everywhere. He would have to have been screaming, and it's just not Dylan's nature. I said on the Joe Show, and I was actually just chatting to Dylan on my way here. Dylan is a bit of a troll online, and that's. But he's kind of learning from what seems to grab attention and what seems to look where it's gotten him. He got a really good contract with Bellator off of zero MMA experience.
Right.
So it's because he's partly playing that entertainment side of MMA. That's just how the game is now. I have my opinion on that, but that's uninteresting. I find your opinion on that uninteresting. I just know what is, and that is a side of the game that's being encouraged by the fans because it's rewarded. That aside, Dylan's a good guy. He is not a nasty personality. He's a nice fella. You meet him outside of that, and I would challenge anybody that's met him when he's hanging out in the club or he's in the gym and he's teaching the raw beginner how to do an armbar. Like he's a nice fella. There's no way I could project him having that kind of vitriol and to speak in that way. I've heard it being saying that it's racist. Of course, it's not racist. It's an attack on an ideology. It'd be like saying you're a Christian idiot or whatever. But that's just not in his way. His mother his mother came here to America as an immigrant, as far as I'm aware, from Honduras or something. So he's of that. I don't know. It just is not in Dylan's nature. It's not in Dylan's nature.
What do you say to the fans who say Conor should be blamed because he punched first? This has become a big topic this week.
I have seen that, and I've actually started watching your show and Chael's little sound bites, and they must have missed the part where Habib jumped over and double foot stomped Dylan in the head. So I mean, there was a ruckus had begun.
Right.
As I've said, I don't hold any ill will or animosity or want to see Habib punished too strongly on this. But he did start there, unless the cameras align and whatever number of tens of thousands were in the audience are aligned. Conor jumped over, I guess, to join in or to try to pull apart or whatever. I'm not condoning that actions either. He should have just left this to security. But to say that he began it is to try and ignore reality.
Was Conor seriously hurt by those punches?
No, I mean, No, I mean, backstage, he seemed fine. He had a headache or whatever, like, because even Habib did some good ground and pound shots, but he was seeing them all coming, and Connor is he's deceptively good of kind of like riding shots. He's not gonna meet them full on, and that's a real skill that for people coming from a striking background have. Whereas grapplers tend to they can walk into shots heavy. Connor's always kind of moving with them. So even though he was clipped a few times, they weren't really doing any damage. But when someone comes up behind you,
Yeah.
I mean, we had that's an illegal blow for a reason in MMA. It's a very dangerous part to hit somebody. Thankfully, he hasn't shown any signs of being hurt from it, and other than like a headache, nothing physically wrong with him.
So one of the byproducts of this is, once again, Artem is sort of caught in the crossfire here because he had a fight coming up in a couple of weeks in Moncton, New Brunswick, against one of Khabib's teammates, Zuba, who was one of the individuals who was in the cage, who then got involved in all of it. It has been confirmed that that fight is now canceled, but it sounds like Artem is going to remain on the card, correct?
Yeah, he has a new opponent.
You want to break some news for us? No one's watching, don't worry.
No one's watching,
yes.
No, I suppose I'm not supposed. I don't know why they do this bullshit secrecy stuff. Who cares at this
stage?
It's not
safe secrets.
But I suppose maybe from a legal point of view, the contracts haven't been returned yet. That's the only thing I can possibly think of why they don't release it. But it's so annoying, all this. You don't mention it, and you don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a fan of, we're just talking about ice hockey, you're a fan of football or whatever. You know these things a year in advance.
Sure.
This is on an 8. We're fighting. It's 2 weeks away, and we're not supposed to talk about who his opponent is. It's just silly. But look, we do have a new opponent, as far as I'm aware. Artem told me just a couple of days ago. So I'll still be there, and Artem will still be there.
Okay, are you in favor of him being removed? Like, do you think that this was too much of a combustible situation that they had to cancel the fight?
I see their reasoning. I'm sure they're security concerns or whatever. I've kind of reminded of a gif from Godzilla where you just go let them fight.
Yes.
But I understand the security concerns, and it's the other side of me as well. It's like it's kind of like I'm getting a little bit tired of like every time I go to a show there's such like tension, and I'm coming up to 42. I love the sport of MMA, and I it's kind of like I just at this stage just want to like just show up and just have a fight and just like
move on.
Maybe for a beer afterwards.
Sure.
But I understand as well that side of the business is what brings up everybody's pay, and the fans love it. And
do you feel like he should be released? That's been a big topic as well.
I'm sorry?
Do you feel like that fighter Zuba should be released for his actions?
Was he in the corner? Was he a corner man
For
the Habib fight?
Was he a licensed? No, because he wasn't wearing. And actually, he was wearing. Yes.
Was he a licensed cornerman?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was wearing the Khabib shirt, to the best of my knowledge.
Like, he ran that corner. Like when he jumped in the cage, he ran that corner for a reason. I don't think he was running to give him a high five or a hug. Now, the fact that Conor clipped him first just shows you Conor's alertness.
Right.
He's such a sharp mind. But for a licensed cornerman to do that, I hate to see. I hate to see anybody do badly. I hate to see anybody not be able to make a living. The guy's a professional fighter. But it's very hard for me to justify, to see any reason why he would be allowed to continue to fight for that organization. Like how do you justify that actions? And then I've been seeing video. Maybe it's not him. Maybe it wasn't him. But some videos where he's claiming that this was his plan, and then bragging about it afterwards. I don't know. Did you see any of those videos?
Yes.
Was that him?
Yes.
Oh, then F that guy. He should be out of there. So I mean, at least afterwards, be apologetic. You got caught in the heat of the moment. But if you're actually bragging that you did that, well, then maybe you're not. Maybe the sport of MMA is not for you.
Last thing on the brawl, you are a lifelong martial artist. You've been involved in the sport. As you mentioned, you're involved on the amateur level back home. You've done a lot to try to progress the sport. I know you've had to overcome a lot of hurdles. Did you feel embarrassed? Did you feel like this was a black eye? Did you feel like this was a low moment? Are you almost, disappointed was another word? Like, you just think this is boys will be boys, tensions were high, we saw this coming, it was such a personal fight, or do you feel like this was a real black eye?
Look, again, I wear kind of two hats.
Yeah.
In my professional experience and being around this and what happened, it wasn't that big. And then my other hat, I'm going home to deal with politicians, and I'm in the papers, and I'm pushing. I have a huge kids club on my gym, and so we absolutely have to stamp that side of things out. We absolutely have to stamp that side of things out because we're not judged the same as others. Like I've seen some, she's associated with a politician back home, and she highlighted that the brawl afterwards, and like, this is not sport.
Right.
Of course, it's not sport. But if I show a clip of a game of rugby, and suddenly a fight breaks out, or fans at a soccer match start hitting each other, or ice hockey and they almost wait for the fights to break out, yeah, that's not that sport either. These guys will never share a clip where it's Mendes helping Conor off the ground, or Conor congratulating Aldo after his last great win. They don't want that, so we're held to a different value than all other sports. Now, you can whine about that, but that's how it is. That's how we are judged. So we have to try to act above. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. But I get look, my point is, we're always going to be judged harshly by that type, by politicians and such that are looking for any opportunity to break us down. So yes, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We have to abhor that type of activity, and once the fight is over, it's over. There's the entertainment side of it where you build the fight up and the lead up to it. Have a good fight, and then shake hands at the end of it. And that's what any kids in my gym, I would, if they were to act like that at all at it, like, an amateur MMA fight or jiu-jitsu tournament, they'd be out of my gym. So I have to be very strong on my stance in that. So that's my point on that.
Immediately afterwards, Conor said, looking forward to the rematch. Dana White has also said that Conor told him he wants a rematch. Is that accurate? Is that what he wants next?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
right away.
Conor had watched it right away. I hadn't seen the fight since, but it's like the Aldo fight. I got essays immediately to my phone about this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I was there, great. Okay, if we're going to do it, let's do it. But like, I would change a few things around. Like, even from a training standpoint, like we would have to go. It's kind of funny to use a ridiculous analogy. It's a bit like Rocky III. Like, I feel it's like we had this upcoming guy, and and I want to go back to get the eye of the tiger and go back and train in an old school gym, or just kind of disappear.
Sure.
Get me, Conor, and Artem and Peter and that kind of crew, and just disappear for 3 months and really put in a nightmarish type of training camp, like old school training camp, if we're going to do it again. That'd be my requirement to go ahead and do this again. And I see Conor, from the limited amount of chat we had about it, he wants to do that again, and he's very excited to do it because he's not, what's he fighting for at this stage? He's won some titles, he's won plenty of money. So at 30, with the second kid on the way, and 31 next year, like, what would be driving him to do this again? It has to be that he wants to prove he's the best. It has to be that he wants to prove he's the best himself, and to fight a great fighter like Kahbib. So if we're going to do that, well, then let's really do it. Let's really commit to it.
And to be clear, again, meaning next, like right away, immediate rematch, or would you rather him?
I don't know I don't know. There's a lot of sense, and I understand the thinking behind, well, fight that guy, and then this guy, and then that guy. But I just don't, Conor's so much going on in his life, and I don't see him being overly enthused to face one of those guys. Maybe I'm completely wrong. He might go back to me, and he might watch this and go, what the hell are you on about? I'll fight all of those guys.
Right.
Great, okay. I'm up for that. But to get that real fire in him, it kind of reminds me of, he lost to Diaz, and just that real fire that was in him to get the rematch and train like an animal for it and go in and have one of, if not his best performance. It was a great fight. So if we're going to do that, I think it has to be a Khabib. I don't, would he have that same fire for a Pettis or not to take anything away to great fighters, but I don't think I'm not sure he would have that in him unless it was facing Khabib.
What if he said to you, Coach, what should I do? What's your suggestion? Who's next?
My honest opinion on that would be whatever it is that makes you. What's really lighting it for you? What's making your heart go on fire? Are you that excited to face one of the top 10 guys? and make a little bit of money to add to your stack. Is that your motivation? Okay, all right, but we're going to have to train this way. But if I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the real fire from will be the Habib rematch. And if we're going to do that, we've got to go back to the old school, and we've got to go back and do a, really commit ourselves to it. Everything else goes on the back burner, and give it its best shot.
Back to Iceland, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe Iceland. We have a great facility in Portugal.
Right, that's right.
That we use
yes.
as well. But I just think whatever it is, it has to be just nothing else.
But we will see him back.
I can't imagine Conor drifting off into the sunset off the back of a loss. He's the most competitive human being I've ever been lucky enough to meet. He's got his other side of his worlds are in great shape. He's conquered them. If I know Conor at all, he has to fight again.
John, appreciate you doing this. Thank you. You're always gracious with your time. Thank you very much, and continued success to you guys. Looking forward to New Brunswick. Is that next?
Well, Artem in 2 weeks. That's
that's New Brunswick.
Oh, Brunswick. Yeah.
Yes.
Moncton.
Moncton is in New Brunswick. You need to catch up on your Canadian
geography. Yeah. And then Toronto in December with Brad. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, looking forward to a fellow Canadian.
Yes, sir.
All right, all the best to you guys. Thank you so much. There he is, John Kavanagh, head coach over at SBG Ireland, recapping last weekend's UFC 229 event.